Okay, so we have our hello world. We have no styles. Let's go to TailwindCSS.com. This is where you're going to find all the information about Tailwind. If you know anything about CSS, you can find what you need very rapidly by just searching for the CSS that you would need the equivalent Tailwind for. But why would you use Tailwind? I want you to just sort of watch this animation here for a second. And you'll see how fast it is for them to actually get the end result that they want, starting from just HTML. And the reason for this is the concept of these utility classes. Look how nice that is. It becomes responsive. They're adding responsive tags right now, doing some padding, saying, hey, when it's on this screen, it's going to look like this. When it's on this screen, it's going to look like that. And you'll just notice how fast that came together. That in regular CSS would take a very long time. Even if you already had a whole bunch of your own like utility classes set up ahead of time, it's just going to take you a very long time. So my advice, learn Tailwind, learn enough design so that you have things like this, where you have appropriate white space, even gaps, you have leading and you have, leading, and you have tracking so that the characters next to each other are far enough apart that they're legible. There's enough space in between each line that they're legible. Lines are not too long, again, so that they're legible. Here's the size charts, which you'll be familiar with in Bootstrap, except that it's different here in Tailwind CSS, but it's the same concept. So we can go through all of the different colors. Generally, the way that you would do it in Tailwind is you would have a set of colors that are in your Tailwind config file, and you can change those colors to whatever you want. But there's already a default palette. You're looking at the default palette. When you're at the Tailwind CSS site, you're looking at the default palette. You can see how you can change the different fonts, the different font weights, different font values, different font types. Shadowing, all kinds of stuff. So here's a nice little shopping cart essentially made from Tailwind CSS. You can just see that it's very little code. In fact, let's just take this code. And we're going to see another benefit of Tailwind here. I'm just going to paste that code directly into here. Now, I don't have that image. So let's save this image. I'm going to throw it on my desktop first because I have to actually drag it a different way. Let me just rename it. What's it named in the code? In the code, it's called Classic Utility Jacket JPEG. So that's what I'm going to call it here. And then let's move it into our project. All right, so if we go back to our browser, we're going to see something. Actually, I have to put that, let's see, it's not going to serve it from here. I have to do this. Still not serving it. Classic Utility Jacket. Rename, JPEG. There we go. So we can see that obviously the styles are not in place, right? We just have markup. So how do we get the styles in here? Well, if you're not using like the whole JavaScript stack and everything, don't despair. You can do Tailwind, CSS, CDN. Now, this doesn't have some of the benefits of Tailwind, because you're going to get all of the styles. It's not going to go through your code and just pull out the styles that you need, so you end up with a really small CSS file. It's going to have everything. But that does give you a way of playing with it, right? All right, so we're gonna need this script tag. We're gonna put that in our header, and that's really all you need. And now we have our Tailwind CSS. So the thing about Tailwind CSS is it's not about customizing it, modifying it, and changing the class names. If you do that, your code is locked forever wherever the code is, where all those modifications were made. If you stick to just using the utility classes, you can just hand markup from place to place, project to project, person to person, and then they just apply the current version of Tailwind CSS and boom, it's styled. And that is super cool. We don't want this to take up the whole page, right? So let's fix this. I'm going to collapse this so that I can easily cut it out, and I want to put a div around it. The div that I'm putting around it is going to be our container div. The container div's job is to essentially detect, well, shoot, I don't want to drag that, is that it's going to detect the width, and it's going to allow us to respond. So if we are doing mobile design first, which is what you should be doing, if you're doing mobile first, all of these classes that you're giving, if they don't have like a something colon in front of them, a screen size colon in front of them, they're for mobile. They're for mobile. They're for notebook or tablet, notebook, desktop, whatever. Giant TV on the wall. So if I say width full, that's what we're actually seeing right now. This is width full. It's going to take up the entire screen. We want this to be inside. And I might have to do a relative too, because they might not have the relative on there somewhere. Let's see. No, they have it. Okay. But what if we're on a small screen? It's bigger than a mobile phone, but it's like a tablet. Maybe I only want it to be 2/3 of the screen then. Okay, but now it's all the way over to the left-hand side. Let's fix that with an MX Auto. That's going to put a margin on the left and the right. That's the same. Also, that would only be on small and larger. And so now the content's going to snap to the middle. And then I say something like, well, also on small, I don't really want it to be like at the very top of the page. So margin top 6. What if I wanted just a light box around it? I don't think I would put it here. I think I would come down to here. I think this is the root level. Yeah, I would come down to here. And I would put a border here, or I would even maybe put a div and separate the border semantically from all the other stuff, just like I separated the container semantically from the other stuff. So the border, maybe it's border gray 100, 300, something like that. And you start to see like it's just really, really fast. We're not on a small screen. What if the medium screen was going to be like 1/2? Whoops. Oh, what was the small one? Small one was 2/3, medium 1/2, and we're definitely larger than that on this monitor. Also, that was supposed to be width 1/2. So you'll see that when I do this, like it will actually apply this to me, even though I'm not a medium-sized screen, it's going to shrink it down. The reason for this is because everything starts at mobile and all of those classes work. Oh my gosh. Whoa. What happened here? How long has this happened? How long have we been on the wrong screen? Hello? Give me one moment, because I'm not sure how long we were on that screen. Can you tell me? How long was I on the wrong screen? How long was I on the wrong screen? Where's my note? Where's my note? We have to get these technical difficulties down, babe. I'm sorry, I don't have anybody else to lean on as a producer, so I have to lean on you. I apologize. Remember, the tip jar goes to Monse because she's doing this work. My Stream Deck is broken. I should be able to just push buttons and I should be able to see what it is, but yeah, when the Stream Deck's broken, the Stream Deck's broken. Has your workflow become faster using Tailwind? Absolutely faster, absolutely faster. Let me do what I normally do when this situation happens. Let me go back because I'm not sure when I hit I glanced over something when I was trying to copy something and hit the wrong damn button. Make sure that's open so I can see it. Okay, so this is where we were, right? We just copied it over. We put the thing in. I added the margin X or the MX auto, which you'll see here. Okay, so now I want it, or I added the small size. Now I want it to snap to the middle. Actually, let's go all the way back to here. This is mobile. This is mobile with the container though. If we take out the container, you'll notice that there's no space on the far right. Let's put that back. Do you see the space on the far right? That's from the container. The container is a special media query class inside of Tailwind. So everything is going to be width full. So we start with mobile, it's width full. We go up, it's width full, but we have this container to deal with. It has some padding built in. So MX Auto is supposed to move that to the middle. Why not? Why is it not? There it goes. So MX Auto moves it into the middle. Oh, because I'm not running Webpack, so I have to refresh each time. It moves it into the middle. You see that there's equal margins on each side, right? So let's say that we're on a tablet. A tablet would be a small screen, and that's just too much. Maybe we go to 2/3. And so now you'll see that even though I'm not on a tablet-sized screen, it'll shrink. It'll snap to this size because it starts from the small and it works all the way up. What if I was on a medium screen? Well, that might be a width of 1/2, right? Refresh the screen. There we go. So that's actually probably as far as I would go. I could go up to large and I could, say that large is something else, but that's pretty good. But how do you know what it actually looks like? You want to turn this on. This is going to allow you to actually say like what device size you're using. So what we can see is that there's clearly some problems with this design at this scale. So what is this? This is the small. Let's go ahead and actually this would be the little one. So how about this? How about we don't even have a container until we at least get this small. We don't even have this until we get this small. Actually, I think it might just because I'm not refreshing. Let me refresh hard. Nope. I'm not used to having to refresh. We get spoiled with Webpack. Nope, it's still doing it. All right, let's delete that. Because I thought that it was more responsive than that when we were looking at it on TailwindCSS's site. No. Oh, they never showed it drugged down. They didn't put responsiveness into it. Okay, fine. That's what we'll do. We're going to make this responsive. Let's go back and put our stuff back in now that I know it's not causing us trouble with our current design. So how can we make this more viewable on mobile? What if it was an iPhone Max, right? It's close, but it's not going to work. Probably what I would say is that this image that's here, this flex none thing, it seems like that's probably okay for like a small screen or larger. Maybe on these small ones, we'd actually want a flex wrap. Actually, what are we flexing here? Why would we be flexing that? Honestly, I don't think flex none really does anything there. All right, let's do this. If it's a small size screen or bigger, we do the flex. Okay. This is saying when it's flex, don't show it, I guess. Small flex. Where does this go? All the way down. H full, W full, object cover, width of 48. Well, it doesn't have a height. If it doesn't have a height, we're not going to see it. Let's just give it a height of 48 for now so we see it. Okay, so clearly that's not what we want to see, but it's better than what we had. Height 70. Clearly not a number. 64. 48, 60. Is it 60 or 64? 62. There should be a 60 though. Yeah, there's a 60. So I would think that if you were to look at this on the mobile, like it seems like this should maybe be further across the thing or in the center or something. If this is a flex, we could also say that it's got a flex, sorry, it's got a justify center, which should bring things in the middle. Let's do that on, actually, you know what? Then it would be a flex no matter what, right? So that would be flex. I would say that, look, if it's a small or larger, just switch it to a, or sorry, if it's a flex, if it's a flex column, remember we would do mobile first, and then if it's small or larger, we would change that to a flex row. And then you get this. And if you were to drag it at some point, you would get that. So we still got that. And then when you switch down to the mobile version, you can see that it changes. Okay, what about getting that in the middle? Item center, with whether it's going to be justify or whether it's going to be item center, justifier items, it's going to depend on if you're flexing on the column or if you're flexing on the row. That's pretty much what it comes down to. The justify center is on the axis that you're on. So if it's a row, it's the X. If it's a column, it's the Y. And the items is always the other. So if you're on the X, it's the Y. If you're on the Y, it's an X. Yeah, it wasn't that bad. But we need a process, right? Like every time there's a fail, especially on my part, like I have tons of notes on my desk because every time there's a fail, I have to put it on here so that I know that there's a fail so that it can be addressed and fixed. Is there any questions? Do we have any questions? Yeah, and Tailwind is super dope for conditional rendering when you're like doing like React stuff. Tailwind is amazing. Really, it's important. Like, what if we want to make a hover over that? It's just important that you guys know how to do this as a developer. The designer shouldn't have to do all of this for you. Add to bag. I think this is the heart. So right now, we've got fill current color. We could totally do class name. Well, class here because we don't have JavaScript. And we could say hover text red 500. And then you get that. And if you remember, I showed you can do transition. And then, well, if you were on the other session, you missed it. Transition. And for the transition, we could say that it has a duration. And the duration might be 500 milliseconds. And then you get this nice, soft ease in and ease out. Maybe we'll take that down to a 3. It's just little things like this that make a difference when you're doing a design. And if you are known as the person that always takes a little bit of care to add little things that the bosses know, these little things make people go, oh, that's really cool. Oh, that's really nice. They like it. Where did I put that transition? Let's just copy that transition here too. Which one did I change? Oh, focus. It's supposed to be hover. It's not a form field. Okay, then you get that. Just those little subtle differences make all the world. Also, white space, padding. These are concepts that you do not have to be a master of to get a lot of benefit out of it. And in fact, you should watch, if you're going to watch YouTube channels other than my channel, I would say you should definitely watch Kevin Powell. You should definitely watch Design Course Gary. You should totally watch these people. Because just because you're not a designer doesn't mean that you can't, I don't know if you would think like one necessarily, but think more like a designer than your average programmer, which is going to make you stand out not only when you're working with the programming teams around you, but also to the people that are in charge. So you got to admit, like, that one's, it's too much. Let's do something like that. How about we don't even do that? We just do the border. So just little things like this make a big difference. And maybe we do the text, right? Maybe it's not just this. It's also the text. Look how pretty that is compared to what it was before. And where's the red one? This also should be the border. Oh, it doesn't have a border. No, it has a border. Ah, wrong thing. That is just the heart. I also need to go up here and change the border. It already has a border now. It has a border slate. We don't want to change this. And then you get, ooh, I'll have to show you how to do like the child stuff so that you don't get this effect. Actually, you know what we could do? All we'd have to do is move that up too. Because they're both around this, it'll just work. There you go. Now you get that nice fade in, fade out. Beautiful stuff. Blue Ed, is it possible to have classes and reuse them in Tailwind? Yes. You lose some of the portability, but if you want to do something like, here's your style tag. Now you can't do this in just pure HTML. You have to use a JavaScript processor. But you can totally say, I've got, I don't know, a primary button. You can totally do @apply and then put border, you know, bottom, border blue 300. You could totally do that right here, but you'll have to come back on another day when we're not just doing like, when we get to the part where we're going to do purges, which is going to reduce our CSS file. And also the preprocessor will allow us to do the apply. But yeah, you can totally do this. And there are certainly times, especially if you're not working with React, where you would want to do this sort of thing to like theme your own product. Thanks for the question, Zed Blue. That's very useful. Thank you. So guys, I guess that's it for the morning sessions, right? Wasn't this the last session of the morning? Let's just check that schedule one more time. 12 p.m. It is. It is. So we're actually done a little bit early for this one. This is a schedule. We're going to come back at 7 p.m. tonight. We're going to do databases in CRUD, SQL, and MongoDB. I think I'm going to start with SQL because I'm not going to be able to make everybody get as excited about MongoDB until I first make you do joins and schemas. And then you'll say, Please, Uncle Mark, show us a better way. And then I can tell you all about Mongo. So yeah, we're going to be doing that. And then 8 p.m. introduction to Web3 and crypto. The only reason that I can do this is because people are actually following us on Twitch and people are actually watching us on YouTube. And you have to click this tip jar, or you have to shoot this tip jar with your phone's QR reader if you want to support the show. It's a pay as you can philosophy. I want everybody to have access to this, but I'm leaving a lucrative career in consulting so that I can teach everything I know to you fine people before I die. Basically is what it comes down to. But don't have a lot of time left. And I want to spend that helping people in the world who maybe were like me and couldn't go down the regular programmer path. I want to be able to help everybody before I go. And I know that there's a lot of people that fall through the cracks. So hopefully I can get a good 3 or 4 years in on this on YouTube before I have to just exit the internet altogether and go deal with family stuff, you know? So I'm really excited to have you guys come back. I'm really excited to see you later tonight. And I'm going to be very excited to see you guys come back tomorrow and with more people with you because you shared the link. You told more people about webdevcourses.tv and Mark's mission of making, I am the true equalizer here. I am the equality and the equity and the fairness that all of these people talk about and they burn cars about. They don't actually do anything. I am here doing it. So share the news if you can. Spread the word. It really helps. It doesn't help me. I mean, it helps me pay the bills, right? So that my wife doesn't hate me and my kids have shoes on their feet. But more importantly, it gets this out to everybody. So I will see you a little bit later. God bless everybody. Have a great afternoon. I can't wait to come back and spend time with you again.